Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. So as I had mentioned in my last video, what I used to do when I got off of YouTube was I would write blogs on my website that's no longer available, but I would write blogs instead of doing videos. And I feel like I'm a lot much stronger in my writing than I am in like this face-to-face video. I feel like I can get my point across a lot more, and it could be just because it's nerve-wracking and I'm not really used to this video thing, so I don't really know what it is. So I figured what I would do with my first video here is I would read to you one of the blogs that I had posted on my website previously, and then from there I might stop in between and if I have other points or if I want to get my point across a little bit more, just kind of elaborate on that. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not sure if this is weird or if this is really going to work or if it's going to be an extended video, but we'll try it and then we'll see how it goes. So this particular blog that I had wrote a while back was called I Am Grateful for the Storm. And so in this past year, in 2019, this was probably one of the hardest years that I've ever gone through in my life. Trusting God and just my faith being tested, and just numerous hardships. And, you know, I can't sit here and say that I haven't had hardships in the past. That's not the case. I have. But for some reason, this year has just been so trying and so hard for me. But I'm grateful for it. It's made me stronger. It's made me trust God more. It's made me see Him more. It's strengthened our relationship. And so even though it had to come out of a hard season of my life, I know that sometimes those things are necessary to grow us and produce the things in us that that He wants and that we need. And so I'll read this to you. And like I said, if I feel moments throughout it that I want to stop and elaborate, I will. So this is I'm grateful for the storm. So experiencing storms in our life is not something that we ever look forward to. Many times we resent them and we even rebuke them. The hard times in our life are not easy to go through, especially when they come over and over again or last for an extended amount of time. I've learned that it is all about how I look at it. Even though it's hard, and even though I would much rather not have to be in those challenging situations, they grow me and they show me who God is. So like I was saying before, of course we don't want to go through seasons of hardship. Of course we don't want to go through pain. And growth is hard, change is hard. Those are things that we don't want to experience in life. But to be honest, if you look back at your situation and you look back at your life, I guarantee you that the times that you grew the most, where you learned the most, things that you're now probably most grateful for were in those hardships, and they were in those times of pain, and they were in those times of struggle. And of course, we don't realize it at the time, and we don't enjoy it at the time. But later on, we realize that it was more of a blessing than it was, you know, a curse or whatever you may call it. This current season of my life has been without a doubt the hardest season that I've ever gone through in my life. My faith has been tested like never before. This has also been one of the longest storms that I've ever faced. So like I said, there's been hardships and there's been times of pain in my life before, but this one, and I can't really say that it's been a lot of pain. It's been a lot of growth and a lot of testing and trusting. There's been promises that I feel like God has given me, that are taking longer than I expected to come to pass. There have been, just times of Him showing, you know, what's really in my heart and helping change the person that I am, and develop me. That's what's been the hardest. So it's not that a lot of things have been really bad, and there have been, as you know, as well. Finances aren't always great, so that's been something that's been hard and challenging to deal with. But again, I think it goes back to that trusting Him, and a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think it doesn't make sense because even though it may seem that we're doing the right things in life and we're doing what we're supposed to, why are you not showing up, God? You know, why are you not answering my prayers in the time that I want, which is really, you know, I'm learning that that's not going to be the case. But, you know, I feel like He does it on purpose, because He's not a God that shows up when we want Him to show up. He's not a God that always does what we want him to do. And we have to realize that there's always a reason behind that. He's not just doing it because he likes to see us suffer. It's to grow us, and it's to help us trust him, and it's to strengthen that relationship. And now I don't know where I left off. So I'll say I can't lie to you and say that I can't lie to you and say that I have had complete faith throughout the entire process. And I can't say that I've been walking through it perfectly. I've stumbled, I've fallen, and I've doubted time and time again. I've questioned God, and I've even wondered if the journey that I'm currently on is really from him, and what I'm going through is really going to get me to his will in my life. I've even told him that this is too hard, and at times it's too much, and that I no longer want to do it. I've told him that I'd rather have less than his best for my life. And you know what, this is honestly, it's weird for me reading. I've never been that person that liked to read it in class or anything like that, so it's hard for me to read it on camera, so excuse me. But I've told him that I'd rather have less than his best for my life if this is all that it takes to get there. Crazy, right? So, there's one particular promise that I feel like God has given me, and he gave it to me about 2 years ago. It's in May, it'll be 2 years. This 2020 in May, it'll be 2 years. And I felt like it's just taken forever to come to pass. It's not a promise that I really want to share right now. I've only shared it with a couple of people, but I am a firm believer that you have to be mindful about, when and how you choose to share like words that God has given to you. So that's one thing that I felt like has been really challenging in this season of my life, is just trusting that that promise is real. And I believe it. I believe that it will come to pass. I just thought that it would come to pass a lot sooner than what it has. So that's been really hard to me. And I remember one night just praying to God and telling him that, this is no longer what I want. I know that this is a word that you've given me, but getting there has been so much harder than I expected it to be. And really at this point, I'm tired. I'm worn out. I don't want it anymore. Just take it from me. And let it be what it is, which is crazy, right? Because I know that it's a good thing, and I know that it's his will. But the fact that we don't want to suffer or to go through the process to get it is crazy. That I was so over it that I was willing to settle for less than his best for me. And I just remember praying that prayer, and literally the next day, God just showing up like no way I've ever seen him before, and just reminding me that this is his will, and just keep pressing forward and just keep going. This is what I want for your life. This is what's best for you. And that gave me the strength, and it gave me the courage and the inspiration to keep pushing forward, even though it's been a long time, and even though it doesn't look like what he told me it would look like. Just knowing that this is his will and this is what he wants to be done. So moving forward. But when you are in the middle of a storm and things are not going so well, the promises that you heard from God speak look so far away. The journey is taking a lot longer than you could have ever anticipated. In these moments, you want to give up. You're tired, you're afraid, you feel lost and alone. Sometimes in these moments, no matter how much you pray and beg God, he tends to be silent. Now, for me, that's when things really start to get rough, because I feel like I'm not in the midst of I feel like I'm now in the midst of the struggle, and I have no guidance, no one telling me where to go or what to do next. It's easy to get frustrated and want to throw in the towel. Just let it go and leave it all behind you, which is kind of what I was saying before. When you're in the middle, and that's the hardest, I know you've probably heard this time and time again, but the middle is where things get hard. In the beginning, it's easy, right? You have this promise, you're excited, you're ready to go, you're fired up. But when things start dragging along and it starts taking a lot longer than you thought it would take, your faith starts to waver. You get tired. You start to believe, is this really what I heard? Is this really what you want from me? And sometimes in those middle times is when God is most silent, and you're praying to him and you're trying to understand, why can't I hear you? Why are you not listening to me? Do you hear me? And that can become really frustrating when he's not showing himself to you and answering your prayers and confirming his word. And for me, I've gone through that too. I've gone through those moments where I don't hear his voice. I don't feel his presence. And so then I start to doubt. But again, I set testing of your faith. He's, trying to see, are you going to still show up? And are you still going to believe what I told you, even though I'm not there just holding your hand throughout the process? And again, that's that growth process as well. And I think I'm just going to read some of this, and I'll probably post it below because I don't want this video to take so long. I'll read this last paragraph and then we'll kind of close out from there. On this journey I'm currently on, I've been there. I've prayed that all of what I've been doing has not been in vain. That's one thing that I second guess myself. I second guess because I'm still in the process of learning his voice. I'm still in the process of deciphering, is this my voice, Lord? Is this your voice? Is it the enemy? What is it? Is it outside voices? So I'm still in that process where I doubt myself, and I doubt, is this something that I really heard from you? Even though I feel very confident that it is him, when it starts to not look like what he said, that's when I really start to doubt myself. And I really don't want, especially because, like I said, it's almost been 2 years. I don't want to have what I've been doing go in vain. I don't want to have wasted so much time believing something if it wasn't his will. But again, I feel like he's confirmed that for me time and time again, that this is my will and this is what I want. It gets really hard when you feel like you've been doing everything you're supposed to, but nothing is getting better. In fact, they sometimes get worse. You've been a good person. You've tried your best to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit, and you've done work on yourself to be better in certain areas. God has reassured me time and time again to just keep pressing through. He's told me to He's told me to get up and keep going. I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't tired at this point, and I feel as though he is dragging me to the finish line. But I know that I've come way too far to just give up now. I've invested way too much to just settle for less than his best for my life. This particular post that I had made, I wrote it a couple of months ago. And at the point that I wrote it, I really was just so tired. And like I said, I felt like he was dragging me to the finish line. Like, it's not even me anymore, Lord. Like I'm giving up. I'm laying here and it is what it is. Just, do what you got to do to get me to where you say you want me to go, because I can't do it anymore. Like, my strength is depleted. And this was maybe about 3 months ago, when I had wrote this. So now I'm feeling a lot better. I feel like my strength has been renewed. Like I said, after I had prayed, like, Lord, just take this from me. I don't even want it anymore. I feel like he gave me that boost of energy. He renewed my strength. He confirmed his word. And even then, it was just, it was good. But I still kind of doubted, and I still felt the way that I felt. But since then, it's been a lot better. I've continued my relationship with him. I've continued my praying. I've continued. And that's one thing. I prayed for it. Even though my faith was wavering and I was getting tired, I still prayed regardless of how I felt. Kind of like how we say with affirmations and things of that nature. Even if you don't believe it, I think it's still very powerful to pray for it. If it's something that I know that God has spoke to me, pray for it regardless. And I feel like that has helped me get over that hump. And so it's still hard. I won't lie. It's still a struggle. But I do believe, that God is faithful, and I believe that he will bring what he told me to pass. So if you're in a storm, just know that, yes, I know it's hard and it's a struggle, but God is faithful. And as long as you keep doing your part and you keep doing what you're supposed to, you'll get to the finish line and you'll see his word come to pass. Just stay strong in it and believe what he said, regardless of what the outside may look like. And if it looks contrary to his word, it's fine. This can be a test of your faith. You just have to stay strong in who you are and what you believe, and who you believe in. And so I will post the rest of the posts that I had here in the section below. And so until next time, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that I will see you in the next one.